Today's Doujin is pretty recent, just translated about a week ago, and I can say it's one of the best I've seen in a while. It starts with a nun playing with a few kids, with her thinking about what happiness is. She sees one of the children's mothers and watches as the kid runs up and starts talking to her. While staring, she thinks that happiness would be not envying other people's lives. As she keeps looking, we see a man driving in a car. Previously, he was talking to someone at his work who said this is great timing. The man says he will send out documents when he gets back to the office, and the older man apologizes to him for making him use the back door. He can't have the neighbors see a stockbroker entering and leaving the place. The man is later seen driving, thinking about how he joined the company and his expectations. His job is to move around money for wealthy people and return back the profits. He expected the job to allow him to impose justice and satisfy his desires, but is disappointed with the job. Right after school, he was assigned to somewhere not big enough to be a city, but also not quiet enough to be in the countryside. He barely gets time for breaks and has to suck up to older people to keep them happy. He wonders if it's really okay for him to be working his job at 29 years old. He's gotten many wedding invitations from classmates, but all he's done is work while they have lived their lives. He wouldn't want to redo his whole life, but he now understands why isekai stories are so popular. But he does wish something dramatic and exciting would happen to change his life. Suddenly he notices that he's made a wrong turn. He was thinking so much that he wasn't paying attention. He wonders if he can make it back to the office on time, and suddenly goes through a tunnel. Wondering where it ends up, he goes through it and sees a stunning view of a lake and mountains. He then drives up to a village and wonders if there really is a place like this around here. He parks in front of a church and walks out, noticing a lot of kids and wondering how many people would apply to a daycare all the way out here. He sees the kids run up to the nun we saw earlier, who notices the man. They greet each other, and she points out that he isn't a guardian of one of the kids and asks what he wants. He's not really sure himself, and she questions him further, telling him to go to the counter. The kid behind her drops his mud ball and bends down to pick it up, still grabbing onto the nun and pulling her down. She falls on the ground, exposing her underwear. The man offers a hand and asks if she's all right, and she gets up by herself and says she's good. He hands her a card, introducing himself as Tomoharu Chihaya, who is from a securities firm. She says she can't accept business from solicitors, but he says that's not his intention. He's here just to skip out on work. She finds his answer amusing and replies that she's doing the same. As they walk inside the church, she explains that the daycare next door belongs to the church. They include teachings of their Holy Lady in their education. She introduces herself as Nora Elg and isn't part of the daycare staff and is a consecrated member of the church but finds her work unfulfilling. So she heads over to the daycare to play with the kids to have fun. Her work includes performing welfare and charity work for people to bring them joy, so managing the daycare is somewhat related to her job. She leads Chihaya to confessional, saying he should reflect on himself for skipping work. He wouldn't have come out all this way if he didn't have something to talk about. She says guiding lost people is also part of her job. In confessional, Chihaya explains that Japan has over 1 quadrillion yen in hidden treasure, hoarded in personal accounts. This amount is over 10 times the national budget, sitting idle in people's bank accounts and wallets. All this cash is unused, but many people need money, such as students struggling with student loans owing a total of 24 trillion yen. The money could be circulated in the public market, where the goal is for it to eventually reach those who need it most. He thought that that's what he could be doing working at his job. However, in reality, he sells products he wouldn't buy himself and uses high-pressure tactics to scam those with low financial literacy. He questions if there's any justice in the work he's doing and wonders if he should quit. Nora says he's a good person, but he doesn't see himself that way. She says that because he's doubting himself, it proves that he's a good person. He says that even if he is, it doesn't matter because he doesn't do good work. Nora changes the subject from his work to his own personal happiness. She then begins talking about herself, questioning if she should keep being a nun or not. She says her work's purpose is to spread happiness with others for the goal of peace for the world. However, the problems the church tries to solve are too big, so her work feels pointless, and she questions if she can dedicate her life to this. She's been a nun for 5 years, and since then 4 of her friends have gotten married and had children. While she's busy being a nun, her friends are living their lives. Has anyone's life been bettered by her work? She follows the rules and teachings of the church, but her friends have spread much more happiness to others than her. She says both of them should find their own happiness first, and peace in the world will follow naturally. Chihaya begins to think that the conversation has gotten kind of strange and wonders why she's touching his hand in a serious conversation. She says they should both encourage each other. Both of them wonder if they should quit their jobs, so it's better to quit than do their work half-heartedly. Chihaya is confused about what she's talking about and notes that Nora is breathing heavily. He says that she's going on a rant and to just say things directly. She tells him to have a one and done with her. Chihaya is surprised and confirms what she's talking about. He says she's a nun and shouldn't be talking like that, but Nora insists. She says she's a mess, while all of her friends have husbands and she's stuck being single. Chihaya says that she's just frustrated and what she's saying doesn't match her image at all. He says that they just met 20 minutes ago and she compliments his intelligence for saying that. She understands that he doesn't want to because she's too old. Chihaya has had enough and comes out of the booth, saying that she was supposed to guide him and give thoughtful advice but only resulted in a step backwards. He goes to the other side of the booth and opens her door, only to see Nora doing something she probably shouldn't be doing. Kids from the daycare come running into the church wanting to show off their new mud ball, so Nora drags Chihaya into the booth with her. He gets anxious about being found by the kids and wonders if she's been doing that the whole time they've been talking when Nora proceeds with her plan. The kids wonder if she's in the confessional, so they run over while the two are busy, and right as one of the kids is about to open the door, the other one stops him, saying that they're not allowed to open the confessional doors while they're being used. They run off, and Chihaya and Nora avoid being spotted. Afterward, Chihaya asks her what she was thinking, and wonders if her happiness is doing it with a random man and exposing herself in front of the children. She says that this is a serious problem she's facing and says it's painful for her, someone who has never done it and is nearing her 30s, to see women similar to her age picking up their kids from daycare. She's always thinking about her friend in a wedding dress and sees her children grow bigger and bigger. She can't ignore her own happiness anymore. Chihaya says that it may be easy for her to quit, but he can't quit work after skipping one day. Moreover, what will he work towards if he quits his job? She retorts by asking if he is just going to continue with his unfulfilling work and that they could both benefit from just living their lives as they're called and reaching out to those they meet. All being said, she says she's cute. She says there's no doubt that if he just reached out to her, he'd at least feel satisfied, and that is the first step in them achieving happiness. Chihaya says she's selfish, only giving him the benefits of the situation, but not taking his opinion into account. That being said, after being pushed so far, he can't hold himself back. They're about to kiss when Nora says no kissing is allowed because she's saving it for someone she really likes. They do Doujin things, and afterwards they have to go looking for Chihaya's glasses because he forgot where he placed them. After finding them, he's relieved because they were a gift from his company and wonders if they're damaged at all. Nora puts them on and realizes that they're not prescription. Chihaya wears contacts because if the lenses are prescription, they distort the sides of your face when someone looks at them, so he wears contacts. He still wears glasses because he's been wearing them for so long, they feel like a part of him. He looks at Nora, who's wearing his glasses, and blushes. They talk about how all the kids have left, and he wonders if Nora will really quit her job now. She says she will and was able to come to a decision because of him. She wonders what he will do, and he says just because he skipped a day of work, he can't quit. However, he still has his doubts about his job and wants to find out what he really wants to do. He says he'll look for a new job around the end of the year. Nora gets excited and confirms that he'll quit if he finds out what he really wants to do. She then gives him a file, saying she has a plan she thinks he'll really like. Time fast forwards, and Chihaya is quitting his job. His boss questions why, and he says he's going to help his wife with her business. It's an education provider business, and they provide a proprietary platform and are growing, so he wants to dedicate his free time to expanding the business. His boss notes that he must have been thinking about this and asks for how long. Chihaya says since last year, and his boss notes that Chihaya asked him to make a speech at his wedding, knowing that he'll soon leave the company. He says he better pay him back for the dinners he's bought him. His boss says he understands and will speak to the regional manager, leaving Chihaya surprised that he made no effort to convince him to stay. His boss says that this is already what he's decided to do, and there's no point in trying to stop him. He also says he was about to give him a promotion. Chihaya asks if there was any honor or justice in the work he did, and his boss says there's no such thing as justice. They work for the sake of their clients, families, and success, and that money moves from one hand to another. His boss wishes him well, and Chihaya goes home. He thinks about the plan Nora gave him and that it was airtight. The concept was ambitious but was solid. After a few minor changes, and with Nora's treasurer experience, they were able to secure a business loan. When he gets home, he's about to use his keys but rings the doorbell instead. Nora opens the door and asks if he forgot his keys, but he just wanted her to open the door. He says he handed in his resignation letter and will be taking his vacation days. Nora calls him by his first name, Tomoharu, and like at the beginning, questions what happiness is. We see her wearing a ring, and she tells him welcome home. Answering her question of what happiness is, she says it's having no reason to envy anyone else's life. The two kiss, and we see a photo of them on their wedding day. If you liked the recap, consider subscribing. The doujin is called If I Can't Be Married. At least let me quit being a by Tori Yoshitsuna. Let me know what you think of this doujin.